today is a little bit special because how is this day divided out with time? We're going to spend a small amount of time on parenting theory. It's kind of crazy. So just give me a moment. I want to talk about some parenting theory. And then with the rest of our time, we're going to talk about 1 Timothy chapter 3, okay? A couple updates before we get into the message is on the back, underneath our brand new sign that we have. Isn't it beautiful? I love it. It's great, yes. Wonderful. Boží ecosystem, all right? That means God's ecosystem. That's our theme for this year, right? As a Christian, we're really not an individual. We're a team. And that's what God loved. That's why he said he so loved the church. Because he said, I could say it this way, for God so loved the team that he gave himself for it. He loves the ecosystem, the functionality, the helping, right? Sometimes as Christians, we become more individualistic. Well, that's a modern problem. But historically, it wasn't. It was a unit. It was an organism. But I want to introduce to you parenting theory, okay? Before we get into our Bible message, I want to give you a small side message, okay? Theory is what? An educated guess. I think Solomon knows more of the scientific definition of theory, but in my mind, it's like a scientific guess, right? You take science, put it together, and then you make your hypothesis or your theory based off that. I grew up in a Baptist church all my life. I've seen good theories and I've seen bad theories. Okay? However, based on other people's theories and the Bible, guess what I get to do? I get to make my own theory. Guess what you get to do? You get to develop your own theory based off the Bible, based off what you've seen, and come up with your own plan. You know, I'm not your necessarily king of your life. God should be. So you should develop theories based upon the Lord and the Bible. However, I want to give you my personal theory, which may not be accurate. I admit that. But I want you to see how I develop a little bit of my family strategy, okay? Now, we're going to Budapest for a 5-day getaway. And you may ask me this question, why Budapest, out of all places?
It's not Balkan.
Huh?
It's not Balkan. You're Balkan.
It's not Balkan, yeah. Why go to Budapest? So one of the things that I do as a parent, I try to think about the direction of my family. Because I'm the dad, which means I am kind of a leader. So I've got to develop leadership strategy for my family. Now, some of you, maybe you don't have a godly husband, or maybe you don't have a husband, or maybe you have a different scenario, right? So your theory and ways may look a little different than mine. But as far as a Christian father, it's my responsibility to look at the different paths in life and say, we are going to travel this path, all right? And my wife, sometimes she doesn't like that path. She says, I don't like that. But because of what God has called her to do, she says, I'll follow you on this path, even though I don't agree with it, right? And God blesses her. I'll give you some stories about that sometime. Mistakes that I've made, but she says, okay, we'll go your way. And I've chosen the wrong path, right? But in the end, guess who's responsible to the Lord for those mistakes? I believe I, as the father, am responsible, okay? So, I say we need a little getaway. And I think about central Serbia. We're going to go down, what did I say it was going to be? It was going to go down there near Tara.
Zlatibor.
No, there was another place north of Tara I was going to go to. I can't remember. Not Chachana. Huh? Chaitya, maybe. There was going to be some good hiking trails for the kids. We go down there, take 5 days, and just hike with my kids. The reason I want to do that is because I want my kids to see God's nature. I want them to see the wonderfulness of God's creation. I want to try to get them out of the city and into something that God has made as much as possible. However, I also have multiple reasons why I do things. I'm only going to have, because we homeschool our children, I will only have till about 18 years old to influence my children. I'll only have until they're 18 to create for them a contact pool. Okay, you know what a pool, like a basin. And I've got to create contacts for them. Now I can choose to create Christian contacts or non-Christian contacts, but this is my choice. Now there's several ways you can do that as a parent. So there's evolutionary. Now evolutionary parenting is just like this, whatever happens, right? You don't have to be a Christian for this. You can be a worldly person and say, whatever happens to my kid, their choice. That's an evolutionary theory. Whatever happens, happens. Many Christians have also adopted this, that, hey, God knows, God loves my child, whatever happens with them, that's between them and God. That's an evolutionary theory. And you can do that if you like. The next step is a passive approach, okay? Is a passive theory of parenting. That means you love God and you try to, do a little bit, but you're more passive, right? As a pastor, you maybe noticed that I'm a little bit on the passive side of pastoring. I don't want to be offensive. I'm a little bit of apologetic, which is honestly a shame on me. I should be more bold. And I apologize for not being more bold. But it's the fear within me. I want to be liked. I want to be loved. And I know that many things I'm going to say is going to make some people angry. And I don't want to do that. I sometimes shy on passive. But Paul, especially in 1 Timothy, says, Timothy, don't be so passive. Be more bold. Okay, Paul. Right? So now the next level we get to is purposeful, which means you as a father or a mother are purposefully designing the path for your child to walk. You're not letting them just flow the river, but you're looking at the river and deciding where in the river are you going to float your boat. It may not even be in the direction of the river. You may decide the river is not for my children. I'm going to get out of the river and we're going to walk upstream, right? That's purposeful. Now, we have a fourth level here, and that's design. This design aspect means, man, I want to have my hands in every part of my children's life because I only have 18 years to design the perfect path for them. Now, for most of you, your children are going to go to public school. Now, the downside about this is you're only going to have about 12 years. 12 to 14 years to be that influence in your child. After that, you're not going to have much of an influence, typically. God can help, but 12 to 14, they really have made up their mind by then, and it's only by the grace of God that those children will begin to listen to their parents again. This is just statistics, okay? However, as a homeschool, which is what we chose, which many people can't choose this, all we do is we get to prolong the inevitable with a little bit more influence. And that's really about it. But still, as a parent, I can design the path for them. And so here's why we're going to Budapest. Here is why we went to Romania. Because I'm wanting to make our contact pool of believers and Christians who are just like us. If this isn't the best path for you, then I would encourage you to find a better path. But I think that this is the very best path in the world to follow, is this style of preaching, this method of church. I think this is the best for life and for method of living. If you don't agree, that's fine, but I would encourage you to find the best. I think this is the best. Therefore, if I think this is the best, I want my kids to have the best. Because typically, your children will end up being further away from God than you are. Right? It's just strategically. If you drink 1 rakia per day, chances are your children will drink 2. And if they drink 2 per day, chances are their children will drink 3. Same with cigarettes, same with tobacco, same with anything. Right? You're setting the example. I don't want to be extreme. I just want to be straight. Okay? So by creating this contact pool, by visiting these churches, what I'm doing is creating friends, Christian friends for my children. There's families in Hungary who are just like us, who have children, who've been raised in the Bible. And I want my kids to be friends with those kids. And I need those contacts and fellowships in my life. So when we invite you to come to Romania with us in the future this year, we encourage you, come with us. If we invite you to come to Budapest or to Hungary to visit these other churches, we encourage you to come with us. Moreover, when you develop a vacation for this year, you can do it two ways. You can talk with your spouse and say, let's go here because I like that. Whether it be the beach, the mountains, the food, you can do that. Or, when your children are gone, you can do that all you want. But I'm telling you, if you've got people relying on you, I would encourage all of you to make it purposeful. And so maybe you say, let's let our vacation be in this area where there's churches. We can go develop contacts, Christian contacts, fellowships with brothers and sisters, that my kids can grow up and write letters back to these little boys and girls, and we can communicate to the Romanian churches, to the Hungarian churches. Last year we took a vacation to Croatia to visit the churches in Croatia, right? So we're developing a contact pool, right? It may not be me that wants to go on these places, but I'm thinking about my children, the influences upon them. Who knows? Maybe because of one of my choices that we went to Hungary one time. I was never invited to go to Hungary, but because I was a designer and I was purposeful in my parenting, I create these contacts. Marco, someday he finds a Christian wife from Romania at a church there. Nikolai, maybe he gets married to a Hungarian girl. Not an American, but a Hungarian girl in a Hungarian Baptist church in Hungary, right? I have no idea. But the last thing that I want to do is just ship all my children back to America and say, go help yourself there. That's not leadership. That's not what you can do, right? So by my example, I hope that you can say, hey, what pastor's doing, I can do as well. And I know some of you Russians are limited and can't do that. But hopefully this gets over soon. Hopefully you stay with us and you can be able to do these things with us. So one of the reasons that we're going to Budapest specifically is by design. There's Christians up there who believe identically to us. And they listen and they read the same thing. They have the same ideas. And I want my children to grow up with the best. And I want them to be with the best circles, with the best faith. And I honestly believe this is the best. And so I want to design a path. And when they turn 18, they're going to have an option. Choose that path or make their own path. Right? And I believe the Bible teaches to train up a child in the way they should go, and when they're old, they shall not depart from it. Many people say, that can't be true because I've never seen it happen. Well, many of the Christians that you've seen have tried that have only been evolutionary Christians or passive Christians. There's very few purposeful Christians in this world and very few Christians that do things by design, to schedule it out and to make it happen. It's difficult. My wife, she does not, I'll be honest with you, she does not want to go to Hungary at all. She has no desire. When I said, let's go somewhere, let's do something, can we go somewhere close to the house? And I'm trying to think of design, right? I'm trying to think of where my family can be able to create these Christian contacts. And so she was not excited about it. And then I said this, can we go for my birthday? See, that's how you do it, okay? I'm just kidding. So that's one of the reasons why we're going up there. And by the same idea, when we make these contacts, by taking our vacations and visiting these other churches, we're also creating contacts that you can use in the future as well. Because there's several people in Romania said, I want to come visit your church. And all of a sudden, we have different groups from Romania come visit us. And who knows, maybe there's a handsome young man that comes to our church someday from Romania. And some young lady meets him and gets married. Or maybe there's some young man finds some young lady that comes from Romania or from Hungary. And they find a good, godly spouse. You see how wonderful, when you look at God's ecosystem, how beautiful of a thing that can happen? However, if you take the passive approach, or if you take the evolutionary approach by just saying, hey, God knows all things, He'll allow things to happen. You can do that. But I believe God orders you as a man, as a leader, to design the path for your family. And so that's what I'm trying to do, is obey the Lord, okay? That's theory. Make your own theory. All right, 1 Timothy chapter 3. Are you ready for the real message? He says no. He says no.